Hey, what's up, guys? We're back. We're doing another Dana White Contender Series breakdown and predictions video. Hopefully, we do as good as we did last week because we went 5-0 last week. It was good in terms of betting, too. We made some money betting, and we did really good last week betting on pretty much every event and made some good money, man. So you definitely should go over to patreon.com/MMA Prediction Guru. There's some stuff going on this week. There's an LFA going on. There's a BKFC going on. I believe there's another show that's going on with some odds, and then there's obviously this show. And going forward, you're going to get access to a lot of content over there. You're going to get access to more UFC content and all that good stuff, man. So definitely advise you guys to go over there, patreon.com/MPredictionGuru. Check it out. I'm in the top 10 in the world on BetMMA tips for non-reckless bettors, so giving you guys some great information. You can go over there and make yourself some money, help support the channel. So definitely advise you guys to go over there. But yeah, man, hit the like button on this video, put some comments down below. Let's try to get some interaction, and let's get in this first fight of the night. Jack Duffy taking on Nick Piccinini. And Duffy, undefeated fighter. He's 7-0. He's an A1 combat champion, 28 years old. So the time is definitely now for him to get in the UFC. He's been training jiu-jitsu, I believe, since he was a young kid. He's been with Team Alpha Male, training there for a long time. And I think it's time for him to either get in the UFC or, we'll see what's next for him. But I think that it's a good opportunity for him at this point in his career. Both these guys that are fighting each other here, Nick Piccinini as well, is really good. So it's a great matchup. And Duffy in his last fight, he beat Devin Jackson, who is 3-1, so he didn't have a crazy record. But Devin Jackson had beaten Josh Van before, and he's a good wrestler, really good wrestler. And Duffy was able to outgrapple him pretty easily, so that was impressive. But Nick Piccinini, he's a next level wrestler in comparison to anybody that Jack Duffy has fought. He's 6-0, Duffy's 7-0. So like I said, both these guys are really good. They're both undefeated, and Piccinini's wrestling credentials are unmatched by pretty much any flyweight. He was a 4-time state champion in high school for New York, and he went 226-3 as a high school wrestler. Went on to wrestle for Oklahoma State, where he became a 4-time Big 12 champion. He was a 3-time All-American, and he finished 4th in nationals. That was his best finish. And after college, he did have a small run where he wrestled for some freestyle tournaments for Team USA, but ended up taking a job with DC on the coaching staff. He coached for Gilroy High School, and I think he got the bug. Maybe DC tried to get him interested after he joined that coaching staff because he started training at AKA, then went pro in 2021, and he's been off to the races since then. And currently, I think that maybe he felt that the coaching obligations were too much, or it seems like AKA doesn't really have a lot of guys anymore at their gym that are that good. So he left and he went to train at Fortis MMA now. So now he's training over there at Fortis, and he's been fighting for Fury FC, which is kind of like a Texas promotion. And he won the Fury FC title his last fight. And now he's jumping in here on fairly short notice. I believe that, I don't know exactly how long he's had, but Jack Duffy did have 2 other opponents originally scheduled to fight before this fight happened that both pulled out. And so Piccinini is the 3rd guy that stepped up to fight Jack Duffy here. But yeah, man, 2 really big 125ers. Piccinini, he's going to be the stronger, more built up muscular guy, but Jack Duffy has like a 3-inch reach advantage, I believe. And yeah, it's going to be on the feet. 2 developing guys. Jack Duffy, I feel he's maybe a little bit like he has more potential on the feet because he has more weapons. He throws a lot of kicks and definitely has fast kicks with both legs. He also will throw some straight punches, but really he doesn't let his hands go very much at all. It seems like he's a very bad boxer in the pocket and kind of lacks that composure, and I've seen him get dropped before. But Nick Piccinini is just kind of like one of these heavy on the lead foot wrestlers that tries to work the jab to back you up, and then will throw some big hooks or overhands and then wrestle you up. And it seems like he's getting a little bit more comfortable on the feet. And I feel like if you have to say who's the more comfortable striker, it probably would be Piccinini. And he maybe is a little bit better defensively. He keeps his hands up and all that. But Duffy is going to be faster and he's longer. So I feel like if he can keep it more at kick range and be a little bit better with the distance control, he could do well on the feet, especially due to the fact that I feel like not many opponents have really kicked Piccinini because they're very scared of the takedown threat. And that's going to kind of be the tail of the fight, I believe, because if Duffy gets taken down early and just kind of blanketed and can't do anything, I think that's really going to limit his offenses and chances to win this fight because then Piccinini can just do that for 3 rounds. But if Duffy is working his kicks early and trying to use his wrestling and really believing in himself and being dynamic, and he's able to compete in the grappling with Piccinini, and even when he's on his back, create scrambles to get back up to his feet or maybe even get into top position, then I think that it makes him a very live underdog. So that's going to kind of be the tail of the fight here. But on the feet, I feel like if Duffy can keep it on the outside, throw kicks, stay long, he's going to be throwing more volume and winning. But if Piccinini can get on the inside, let his hands go, maybe he could land a powerful punch and kind of hurt Duffy, who's not really the best defensively. But then, having said that, Piccinini has been dropped himself in a couple of fights. So both these guys have not shown elite durability, but they have shown good cardio and they recover quickly. And both these guys push the pace, and they, I feel like Piccinini's last fight, he wasn't wrestling as much, but most of his fights, he's right to business trying to wrestle, and that's exactly how Duffy is. And like I said, Duffy, his last fight, did beat a guy that I think is a very good wrestler, Devin Jackson, but this is next level, man. We're going to have to see if Duffy, by blending it together, can hit takedowns and kind of his MMA grappling style will supersede the elite wrestling background that Piccinini has. But that's really going to be the fight to me. I mean, if Piccinini gets on top and can nullify, then he's going to win. But if Duffy gets on top, I think that's definitely somewhere where Piccinini's going to be a danger. And if Duffy can threaten off his back or at least get back up to his feet, make it more of a striking fight again and push that pace, then it could be interesting. But one thing about Duffy that I'm a little bit worried about, though, is him going out there early, maybe getting the back or going for some submissions and then getting tired and Piccinini just using his size and wearing him out and laying on him. But, man, I mean, I feel like Piccinini is a fairly one-dimensional green guy at this point. He's definitely an elite wrestler. But I think Duffy is a good bet at the odds that he's at because he's in plus 260 right now. And I feel like on the feet he has more weapons, more tools. He's probably been striking more, even though I feel like both guys aren't great strikers, like I said. And Jack Duffy's been training at Team Alpha Male for years, grappling with guys like Chad Mendes, guys like Uriah Faber, guys that have very similar builds to Nick Piccinini that are a little bigger, so they can also kind of give that look of a big, strong, physical guy like Piccinini is. And I think Duffy's a live underdog here. I mean, maybe he'll get steamrolled by a superior guy, superior wrestler, but I just think short notice, Duffy is going to be live here, and I think he could maybe pull it off. So I'm going to go with the plus 260 dog here, and I think the line is off, so I'm going to pick Jack Duffy, and I'll predict that he wins a decision here. I think he'll get a lot of back control time. That's really his main thing. He's a great back taker, and he has that long, lengthy frame, so he can get that body triangle and kind of just wear on you, and eventually he could either find a submission or he can win decisions as well, and I think that Piccinini is going to be tough to finish. He's going to be, someone that's going to fight hard. But ultimately, I think Duffy's going to get the back, control him, grind on him. And I think on the feet, it'll be competitive. But maybe Duffy will have a little bit more volume. Maybe he can land some low kicks. And I just think all that experience training at Team Alpha Male has to have got him ready for this kind of style fighter. And at the odds, man, I think that it's a good potential underdog play here. So give me Jack Duffy, and I think that he'll win a decision in this fight. And moving it along here, we got another fight here with this one is between Malcolm Wellmaker and Adam Bramhold. And another very, very intriguing fight, a fight that I'm really looking forward to, that I think it's I don't think it's as high level of a matchup as the last matchup, but it's two good guys. And Wellmacher, he's 7-0, he's undefeated, and he's been fighting kind of in the regional scenes, mostly in Georgia and around Georgia. He trains out of Georgia, and this is his first fight on the West Coast. He did fight on Icon FC B2 Fight Series, so those are Fight Pass promotions, but this is definitely by far the biggest moment of his career. And he is the Conflict MMA Bantamweight champion. He also recently main evented a NFC show, so he's been put in some big spots lately, but like I said, this is by far the biggest, and he has won 13 in fights in a row overall, but he's taken on someone with a lot of pro experience in a 13-2 veteran, Adam Bramhold. He's been fighting for over a decade at this stage, Bramhold, and he's looking better than ever. He's won 11 fights in a row. He hasn't lost since 2017. And one thing to me that is a little bit suspect with Bramhold, though, is the fact that he never went to Cage Warriors. He's fought mostly for Cage Steel, which is the smaller, less competitive regional promotion, and he is their current bantamweight champion. So he just has to prove he's at world level here. He's had a lot of questionable wins so far in his career, and I think this is going to be the best striker and probably biggest power puncher that he's fought. But, that could be said about both guys, though. I feel like neither guy has really fought in a big promotion yet. I guess you could say Icon FC is somewhat big, but not really, and it's just their big break. It's the opportunity for both guys to get that big time win and, get themselves into the UFC. But Malcolm Wellmacher, he's very athletic, light on his feet. He's fast, powerful. He's a counter striker. He likes to use an upright stance so he can bounce in and out, pressure feints, get fighters to come in and then pull counter. And normally it's one shot and done from Wellmaker, but he can be a sharpshooter and find the openings for his kill shots. His left hook is really nice. He has a nice jab. And he tries to clinch and you'll circle to the back. He has good trips, good body locks. He's got good balance, and that helps him. He floats well on top and can kind of scramble effectively. His ground and pound is good. He transitions well. And I think if he can get top position, that's probably going to be his best bet here in this fight. He's also gone 5 rounds, so he has good experience in terms of that and pretty good cardio. And his opponent, Adam Bramhold, 13-2, like I said, so he has more than double the amount of fights that his opponent has as a pro. And he's a tall, long, and lanky striker. He doesn't really use his length the best because he likes to pressure. He doesn't fight long too much, but he uses his jab. He has a nice rear cross. Really tricky combinations. He could be awkward, but he's high volume. He's effective. He also has shown a really good chin, and he's good at rolling with shots, taking the sting off them a little bit. But he does get hit a lot, and that's a little bit alarming in this type of matchup. But he'll slip and rip. He has some slick combinations, and he could take a shot and just return with longer combos due to his durability. And he's going to throw more than Wellmacher, so if he could take the power, it's going to become a fight that I think it's his to lose. And Bramhold has excellent cardio. I think potentially Wellmacher could get ahead with his wrestling, but it's kind of difficult to say. Bramhold actually showed good takedown defense in his last fight. I've seen another fight recently where he was able to defend and take down, get a front choke with the Anaconda on a black belt, even though the guy that he submitted that's a black belt has been submitted a lot, was older, so it wasn't really that impressive, but still submitted a black belt and stuff to take down there. So I could see a scenario where Bramhold gets put on his back and is dominated or just gets knocked out early. Early on in this fight, the speed, the athleticism gap will be pretty big for Wellmaker, and Wellmaker is going to have his chances to touch that button and end the fight. But as the fight goes on, unless Wellmacher can get his wrestling going, I think he's in for a battle. Bramhold attacks all parts of the body. He throws a ton of volume. He's long, lanky, he's durable, good feint game, and I think his kicks are going to be effective. And I think he's the better overall striker. I think he's the far more diverse striker. He picks it up as the fight goes on, and I think once he gets his read, if he's still conscious, he'll take over. Malcolm Wellmacher, I think he is a fighter who's super athletic. He looks the part when you see him, but he's still developing. Bramhold isn't as impressive as a specimen, but he's more experienced. He's skilled. I think Wellmacher's one path is a knockout or club and sub finish, whereas I think Bramhold could win in a multitude of ways. I could see Bramhold winning via decision. I could see him taking over late and getting the finish with TKO. I could even see a slick sub. So I feel like this fight should be a pick 'em. I think the line's kind of way overblown at this point. So I'm gonna go with another underdog, and I'm gonna go with Adam Bramhold to get this win in a really fun competitive fight and beat Malcolm Womacker. So give me Adam Bramhold to win this one. And I'll say he wins via decision in this fight in a competitive but clear victory for him. So I think that's going to be a good one, though. I feel like they're going to throw down. And next one we got Marco Tulio Silva. He's taking on Mateo Letho. And, man, this is another fight where I think there's a live underdog, man. I think there's a lot of underdogs that could potentially cash on this Dana White Contender Series card. But Marco Tulio, he's making his second appearance on the Contender Series, and I'd be surprised to see him not earn a contract with the victory. He's 11-1. Normally, he's an entertaining fighter, and I feel like he had a fairly fun fight in the Contender Series, but he had to play it somewhat safe too because he was facing a high-level kickboxer, didn't get the finish and didn't get the contract. Fought again earlier this year for LFA and got a brutal knockout, so that made it 7 wins in a row for him. And he's taking on a guy in Matteo Duclos who kind of has a little bit of a suspect record at 6-2. But he started out 2-2 and he's won 4 in a row. If you look at his most recent loss as well, it wasn't really. It was kind of a weird loss because he rolled his ankle, it seemed like, or kind of like, I don't know exactly what happened, but he hurt his leg in some way. And he did get clipped, but he was kind of like moving around real weird. And I think the ref thought he was a lot more hurt than he was and stopped the fight. But prior to that moment where it seemed like he got injured, he was kind of dominating. So it's hard to kind of put too much stock into that loss. And then he has another loss where he lost his pro debut via heel hook. So it's like his 2 losses are, not as bad as they look, I would say. And he has some questionable wins as well, though. Like, he has a win his last fight where his opponent was complaining about an eye poke, and then they stopped it and gave him a TKO win. He's another one where it looked like he landed like an illegal knee to the back of the head and then won the fight via TKO. So he's kind of a fighter where a lot of weird stuff happens in this fight. So don't be surprised if maybe there's a kind of awkward finish here or something. But, I feel like he's decent, though. He's 6'3", is a 77-inch reach. So he's going to have a pretty significant reach advantage. 5 knockout wins. And, man, I feel like Duclos is more dangerous on the feet. It's just he could get reckless and knocked out. Tulio's tough, and he keeps it a bit more methodical, where he'll be able to stay balanced and explode at the right moments and maybe capitalize on Duclos being out of position. But Duclos is more mobile. He's athletic. He's longer. I think his leg kicks will be effective. And then, obviously, he's always looking to land that check hook and the right hand as you're coming forward. So, Tulio, he's someone that explodes well, but he could be a little bit stiff, and he doesn't really feint or move his head as he walks forward. So, Duclos, if he can get in off on those leg kicks early, it could be him, check hooking his way to a victory, because Tulio can maybe struggle to use that explosiveness to close the distance and kind of be stuck in no man's land where Duclos can use that range, keep the distance and beat him up. But Tulio has the ability to explode in, too, and catch the chin because he's just very durable. RoboCop is a fitting nickname for him. And with Duclos, I just don't know about his durability. I don't know how he's going to do if Tulio starts turning up on him and backing him up and throwing those spin kicks and getting wild like he does with the flying knees. And honestly, I feel like if Tulio wants to win this one easily, he should be able to get the takedown. And if he can get on top, I don't really know exactly how Duclos is going to look off of his back. I feel like Tulio can maybe dominate there, maybe even find a submission. Duclos did look good from top position in a couple fights I saw, but he got taken it seemed pretty easily against Fontes before that weird thing happened with the eye injury. Um, but man, I mean, I feel like on the feet, if Tulio comes in here with the wrong game plan and wants to stand and bang or something like that, he could get himself in trouble. But I'm gonna go with Tulio via second round knockout. I just feel like he's a little bit more proven. With Mateos, I just don't know exactly his level. You know, I feel like he's dangerous. He's good. He's big. He's someone that could potentially have a big future, but he has suspect victories, and I feel like I'm just not sold on the guy. So that's why I'm gonna pick Tulio. But I think the line is off though, because I do think that Mateo has something about him where he could be a dangerous guy and potentially come in here and spoil the party and maybe, burn a lot of people's parlays here. So I wouldn't parlay Marcos Tulio Silva, but I'm going to pick him here to win via second round finish. And so we got the co-main event on the card. We got Michael Aswell versus Bogdan Grad. And Bogdan, another one of these guys that's coming in for a second opportunity on the Contender Series. The first time that Bogdan fought on the show, it just went really bad for him. He got knocked out in 1 minute and 23 seconds against Tom Nolan, and that loss made him change some things up. He dropped down to 145, which is where this fight is taking place, and he's went 2-0 since the drop down to 145. His opponent, Michael Aswell, he's another one of these Fury FC fighters. He's actually had all 10 of his fights for Fury. His last 2 fights have been 5-round main events, and he's won both. And his most recent fight, he knocked out the respected Nate Richardson, a guy who's beaten Diego Lopez in the first round to win the Fury FC title. So, as was an impressive resume, and with the win, you'll definitely get a contract. And Bogdan Grad, I think if he can go out here and show an impressive performance, which usually one way or the other, someone ends up a highlight reel with Bogdan Grad. You know, he has a lot of first round finishes, 11. And so if he wins, it's probably going to be entertaining. You'll get the contract. But you look at how both these guys fight. Aswell, he's a young guy. He's 23, so he's getting better with every fight. But he's basic. He's not that spectacular. He comes in great shape. He pressures forward. He's improved his feint game. And he wants to push fighters back and let go with 1-2s, 2-3s, 3-2s. Big overhand right. He has okay power, but normally he's more of a volume puncher. He likes to be in that pocket and just exchanging. I wish he would attack the body more and try to vary it up, because his offense can be a little predictable. He doesn't really kick, and he's usually a headhunter. He'll eat a lot of shots, and while he keeps his hands high and blocks a lot too, he just doesn't have great head movement. His chin is good, but he also gets wild at times, and you'll see him get hurt and drop because of that. And he's been able to survive and stay composed, but you want to be smarter than that, as you're getting up in the ranks against better guys. And Aswell isn't a great wrestler, but he's serviceable in that area. And a lot of his early fights, he actually spent a lot of time pushing fighters up against the fence, but more recently he's been striking more. His wrestling offense isn't exceptional, but he can kind of body lock you to the ground. And wrestling defense is good. He's hard to take down and hold down. He did get his back taken against Yadier Del Valle, and he has been taken down in some fights, but I don't think that's going to be a big issue for him against Grad. And I think if he wants to go in there and take Grad down, he'll be able to. And cardio-wise, heart durability, conditioning-wise, everything is already there for him. So he just needs to get his skill level a little bit better, maybe improve his athleticism, and he'll be a good fighter. Or he's already a good fighter, but he'll be a really good fighter. But Bogdan Grad, like I said, back for the second time on the Contender Series. And he's an exploder on the feet. He isn't the most technical, but he has big power. He throws with bad intention. He likes to load up on the left hook or big overhand right. He has good kicks. He'll throw lead leg body kicks. And he also has nice round kicks, spin kicks. He likes to try to time guys with flying knees, elbows. He's a big 145er now that he's dropped down. So I'd imagine he's going to be hitting very hard for most of those guys at that weight, because he's got knockouts at 155. but he isn't going to be able to match Aswell in the numbers, and I expect Aswell to be the fighter moving forward more often than not. I think that it's going to be a big battle in this fight. If Grodd can hold his ground and walk Aswell into big shots, he could knock him out. But if Oswald's backing up Grodd, feinting, opening up, and using his boxing, I think he's going to give Grodd a lot of issues. Grodd, to me, isn't the most durable guy. Although he's only been knocked out once, I kind of question his chin. He is tough, though. I've seen him hurt and hang in there multiple times. And he isn't the best defensively. So neither of these guys are going to come in here and be that evasive. So someone more than likely is going to get dropped or knocked out in this one. It's going to be a war. Grodd's 2 fights at 145. They've kind of been pretty easy for him. Both fighters he fought shot in and did take him down, but Grodd showed his grappling pedigree. He was able to nullify a lot of the damage versus Breno Moreno, even though he couldn't get up against a guy that wasn't really good. He did sweep him kind of towards the end of the round, and then in round 2, he had a guy that was gassed and landed a flying knee and knocked him out. His most recent fight, he just went in there and snatched a guillotine in a minute, and he has 2 guillotines in his last 5 wins, so he's probably confident with his guillotine right now. Maybe you'll see him jump guillotine if you try to take him down, and he doesn't look for takedowns offensively, really, from what I've seen, and I don't think he could take down Aswell if he tries. And if Aswell wants to take Grodd down, I think he can. It's just going to come down to if he wants to test that jiu-jitsu or just keep it standing and try to break Grodd with the boxing pressure like he's been doing to most guys recently. And this is going to be a banger, man. Like I said, I see a knockout materializing. I think that as long as Aswell stays sharp and feints his way in and is smart the first 7-8 minutes, I think he's going to take over the fight and get the finish second or third round. So give me Oswald to get this knockout victory here. And I just don't really trust Grodd here, man. I don't like what I saw from Grodd in his first Contender Series fight. I feel like he might be one of these guys that could drop the ball in big moments. And due to that, I'm going to say Aswell gets the jump on him and knocks him out. So give me Michael Aswell via knockout, and I'll say it happens in round 2 here. And finally, we got the main event. Andre Pulaev, he's taking on Liam Anderson, and I feel like this is the worst fight on the card, so I'm not really sure why it's the main event, but two guys that are big 185ers. We got a guy that's 6'4" with a 78-inch reach here, and Pulaev taking on a 6'3" fighter with a 74-inch reach, and Liam Anderson. And Pulaev, he's trained by legendary Russian fighter Alexander Shlemenko. He's been fighting in his promotion as well. And he hasn't been a pro for very long. He debuted in 2022, and he's had 10 fights in about 2.5 years. Most of his wins are fluff wins at this point against low-level fighters. His last fight, he got his best win, but he beat a 38-21 journeyman, so it really wasn't a great victory. For the most part, he's ran through opponents without much resistance. He's had one fight where it really was a little tough for him outside of his 2 losses. And he's won 4 fights in a row, and this is his first fight in the U.S., so it's kind of his chance for his big break. But he's tall, long, and lanky. He's fast for 185. He likes to use that lead hand to try to catch fighters with a check hook or jab as he angles off, and you'll throw some kicks or knees. And he tries to move laterally and kind of switch it up, change stance. He can be evasive, but it seems like, I don't know, like he's really nonchalant, and I feel like he can be vulnerable to fighters who could stuff his takedowns because he uses that style to kind of move, touch, get fighters to overextend so he can get it to the ground. And he's good at getting in the body lock, circling to the back, or using his single. It seems like he's effective on top with his elbows in the submission game. But I feel like if you can get on the inside and get in the pocket, start to throw on him, he's very vulnerable. He got steamrolled in one of his losses and knocked out. And I think early on, maybe he could be evasive moving around on Anderson, but as the fight goes on, Anderson's going to start tracking him down and landing the heavier shots. So Pulaev has to use that grappling to be effective here. And if he can't get the takedowns and consistently control or finish early, I think he's going to end up either gassing out or just getting finished. And Liam Anderson, 29-year-old fighter out of New York, and he's been impressive. He went 8-0 as an amateur. No, he's 6-2 as a pro. And he's a tall guy as well. Like I said, pressure fighter. He's stiff, though. He can dig in and go to war. And he'll throw dangerous weapons like heavy kicks, big hands. But he just doesn't have that great speed. He's hittable, and he's been dropped in fights. But he's a tank. I mean, he'll get hurt, keep coming forward. And he has been knocked out once in 21 seconds. So it's like, that's a little bit scary, especially when you're facing a guy like Pulev, who I don't think has a lot of power, but maybe he could time something and get Anderson out of there. Who knows? Because Anderson's just that hittable and vulnerable, but he also is down for a war, getting ugly, and I feel like that's what Pulev doesn't want to do. So if he could take the power, I think he'll be able to kind of get that finish, and I kind of see it going that way. His takedown defense isn't that good because he's upright, he's always coming forward, but he'll attack submissions, and he's a decent grappler. And eventually, when he could time a takedown, he actually has okay offensive wrestling, and he has a brown belt from 10th Planet, so has some funky submissions, but it doesn't really seem like he's like a jiu-jitsu guy, but he does have finishes on the ground. All 15 of his wins are finishes. So, the guy, when he goes out there and he wins, he's going to take you out more often than not. His most recent loss was to Miles Lee, where he got taken down and held down for 2 of the 3 rounds. But he won the third. His cardio is something that I think is going to be an advantage here. And I just feel like Anderson's going to get a round 2, round 3 finish in this one. I kind of feel like Pulev is a little bit of a fraud. I don't like how he's been fighting in the promotion that the guy that he owns his gym owns that promotion, and I feel like if he gets in a hard fight, he could just look like a total flake, So Anderson, for all of his flaws, I think is going to go out there and get this victory. And man, this line is crazy. It opened at plus 235 for Anderson, flipped to minus 200 for him now. So ton of money came in on Anderson, and I understand why. I think he's going to get it done inside the distance here. So there you have it, guys. Thanks for watching this full card breakdown and predictions video. As far as a play of the week, my play of the week is just going to be on Michael Oswell. So go out there, bet him on this card. I think he'll get the victory. And thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys soon.